Hello everybody, this is Janet Cape here again with a Socialite production. This time I am out here uptown Charlotte metropolitan area on a bridge. It is beautiful out. There's a lot of bugs, so I may be, swapping and stuff, but just roll with it. But I wanted to do this outside today to tell a little bit more about my story. And I'm doing it outside on this bridge for a reason. And now I know the reason now that I'm recording it, but I will disclose that as I continue to talk. But first, just want to give a little bit about me and who I am for those who don't know me. I am a first-generation Liberian American. So I was born here in Charlotte, North Carolina to two awesome parents who migrated from Liberia, West Africa. I think it's important that we share parts of our lives that are not so visible, because there's purpose. So I want to go a little bit deeper into the name of a Socialite production, right? I know I said that it's an extension of me, it's an extension of you, and it's an extension of anyone that has a story to tell, which is true, it's purpose. But to go a little bit deeper into that, so the light in a Socialite production is not my light, it's the light of Christ. And so for me, I am a Christian, I love God, and I love Jesus Christ. That's first, right? Second, he put me on this earth. He put all of us on this earth for purpose, for good works, and not just good random works, but specific good works according to his leading. And so go back to when I was in high school. I was a senior, and I was a Delta Debbie. My mother purchased an ad, a page for the family, to promote, and of course in the ad, my mother wrote a very special message to me. She said, "Janet, you are a very special child. Let your light shine so that men can see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven." So that message came from, I think, the scripture of Matthew 5:16. But the purpose of me sharing is to kind of frame and explain some of the motivation behind a socialite, the energy and the purpose. This platform is more than just to be in front of a camera and highlighting people and telling stories. This is purpose. This is ministry, essentially, right? And so for today, I want to give a part of my story that many probably would not expect to hear. Today's storytelling is more of a testimony. I know that's a churchy word, but it's needed because a lot of times in life when we go through things or when we encounter things or giants, we tremble or we think that purpose can't be fulfilled because we have this going on or that going on. So I'm standing here today feeling forced, and I'm saying forced because if it was left up to Janet, I would not be sharing. So sometimes walking in purpose and being very specific, you're called to do some things that you may not necessarily want to do. But if God is prompting you, you do it, right? So this year has been a year of storytelling on another level, very intentional, very purposeful. And before I proceed further with the Socialite production, I can clearly hear God saying, tell your story. No, not your life story. They're going to hear about all that. Not about your culture, not about education, where you work, but tell your story. Because in this season, it is going to be through storytelling is how we really bridge the gap. How we really change mindsets and perspectives, and how we really show the world that he is real. He meaning God, God meaning Christ, because it's his power that's at work within us. I'm out here, as I said, on this bridge in metropolitan area in Charlotte. I wonder why this spot, why this bridge. And as I stand here and I look across from me, it's Atrium Healthcare. And with Atrium Healthcare, specifically the spot that I'm standing, all I can see is where it says cancer. And so I started laughing. I'm like, oh, this is confirmation. Intimidation too, but I ain't no punk. This story has to be told. And it has to be told right here at this spot as a reminder of what God has literally carried me through. We'll go back to September of last year when I was planning, I was the chair, the organizer for a big fundraising gala for a foundation that I'm a part of. And the week of the gala, I discovered the biggest lump that I've ever felt, that it literally felt like it came out of nowhere. And so with that, I'm like, please, I must have did something, pulled him up. You know, I didn't even attribute it to what it could have been, right? So the whole mission with that gala was purpose, right? And I was looking out for distractions. I'm like, distraction, let's go. And so that kind of made me get even more into the assignment that I had been called to, which was to raise money for the foundation. So after everything was said and done, the event was over, I was reminded, oh, Janet, you got to go get this checked out. Fast forward, it was cancer. But I never called it cancer. I called it a distraction. When I found out about it, I was literally in my closet on the phone with the nurse, kind of in disbelief. And then I looked up to God and I was like, I know you kidding, right? Like, I know you're kidding, right? Like, real talk. Because for those who don't know, my mom passed away 4 years ago from pancreatic cancer. Didn't have other friends that have dealt with whatever. And I'm just like, you ain't serious. And he's like, I'm very serious. But he was quiet. And so as I sat there, all I could think about is wanting to call my mom. But my mom isn't here anymore, right? So what did I think to do? To call my sisters and my dad. So I, was sitting there by myself, wondering what to do, who to call. And God said, call me. I'm right here. I'm your God. I'm the one that gives you peace. I'm the one that gives you answers. Everybody else is a resource. I'm the source. Sit here in this one-on-one with me until I first give you the peace that you need. Then you go and talk to your sisters. And so for a whole week, an entire week, I sat with that news. And for an entire week, I wrestled with God. And for that week, that's exactly where he wanted me to be. So I know when my mother passed away, my faith, it got crushed, where I thought I was losing faith, but I was actually building faith. Another level of faith. A level of faith where people probably thought I was in denial, because people don't expect you to have peace when you should be going crazy, literally, right? In my mind, going through it, I felt that was the case. But as God took me through the journey, he wanted my raw, pure heart. He didn't want want me quoting scriptures to cover up and mask up what I really felt. He wanted my raw heart. And when I say I gave it to him raw, it reminded me of what I did that season, now in this season, but a different level. Because while I thought my faith was strong, it took another hit. But what I didn't realize, my faith was strong. It's just, I was in an identity crisis. I went through an identity crisis because, yeah, I know I'm strong. Yeah, I know I have this faith. Yeah, I know I have this perspective. But now this is a whole nother level that I did not think I was ready for and prepared for. So God had me sit with him that week because he had to level set. He had to shake me up. Like, you got this. It really felt like I was in a ring, and he was coaching me and guiding me, preparing me for a fight, for an assignment. There are some things that he told me that I feel is key before I go further into this story. Because when people hear about cancer, or hear about COVID, or hear about whatever, they immediately think death. And it's designed to scare and to punk people. But God said, don't let the enemy punk you. This is sent. Don't make no mistake. This is meant to distract you. And so during that period, I had a whole bunch of questions. When people tell you don't question God, question them. Question them. Because if God, I'm not even going to go into it. God is powerful to handle everything, including our questions. Now, whether or not he answers or how he answers, that's not left up to us. But asking him questions is a part of the conversation and the intimate relationship. So I asked him a bunch of questions. Why? Why now? How? He clearly said this is not about your health. This is a distraction. He also said that you are safeguarded. And so he took me back to when I first moved into my house about 11 years ago. That's when Scandal was out, right? And so talk about influence. I had the Scandal wine glasses. I had regular wine glasses, but I wanted to be grown and had the little big oversized wine glasses that Olivia Pope had. And I was holding it very relaxed, and I was dozing off. It's like I could feel myself dozing off. So as the bottle was kind of drifting, the wine wasted on my couch. And so I woke up in France like, oh my God, oh my God. But as I looked on my couch, it didn't penetrate. It literally was just sitting there, and it was rolling off. And so during that week time with God, that one-on-one time, that's a vivid memory he gave to me. He reminded me how whatever protected seal that I had on my couch, how the stain did not penetrate. Yeah, it did waste on it, right? It did get wet, but it did not penetrate. That was the image that I needed to see, because he said, as you go through this, that is how you're going to be saved. So when you talk about purpose, that was purpose 11 years ago on my couch, thinking I'm grown, watching Olivia Pope with a oversized wine glass drinking, because I needed that clear image to be an example of what he was going to do in this season. And so as I was pondering, okay, how does this look? What am I going to have to go through? You're going to go through it. You're going to have the surgery. It's going to be removed. You're going to have to go through chemo, 4 rounds. You're going to have to go through. I had to go through this. And so with the cancer / distraction is what I called it, it was, I forgot the formal name, but it was just literally sitting in this place. So with that, I was thankful. And I know that was all by design. So while that was meant to be a distraction, God said, I'm going to hold it in this place. Trust me, I got you. But you're going to go through this, and you're safeguarded, and you're going to beast it out. But he reminded me of Matthew 19:26. Humanly speaking, it is impossible. With God, with me meaning him, all things are possible. But do you believe, Janet? I said, I believe. Let's go. I said, look, if you, like I said, real talk with God is a relationship. So I speak to him in my language. I said, if this is an assignment that you have called me to, then I have to trust that you're going to see me through it. And if you're telling me in my ear over and over that I'm safeguarded, then let's go. God, I'm scared now. Like, this is cancer. You know what you're putting me through. But let's go. I'm trusting you. I'm looking up. That was my energy, right? So I'm not saying this like, oh, I had faith. I wasn't scared. I wasn't scared the whole time. But no, there was points where I was terrified, especially as it got closer to the time of needing the chemo. So anyway, let's see how I can fast forward this along even more. So from September to January 13th. January 13th is when I had the distraction removed. But during those months, first of all, the enemy wanted to play on my mind, because he was like, oh, you know, it's sitting there, it's gonna grow, you know, saying all kind of crap. And I literally had to just find scriptures, and that's another key thing. My closet, my prayer closet, my room, my bathroom, all of these scriptures written. And when I thought it was overkill, every last piece of scripture that I put around my house was needed. Because at times when my mind started to go idle and thinking this, boom, I'm looking here. When I'm looking like, oh my God, can I do this? Boom, I'm looking here. When I'm feeling kind of weak, like I'm getting down, peace I leave with you. My peace I give you, not as the world gives. So many different scriptures and word that came. So I was just filled with faith. And of course, by this time, my sisters knew and my dad. And that's all he had called me to tell. Literally, it was a handful of people that knew. And it was very specific, because there are people that I'm starting to tell now who were like, wow, why didn't you tell me? But it's an inspiration to them in God's power, not just because of how I went through it, but because of how God used them, and they didn't even know what I was going through at the time. It's so much to tell in this, and there are going to be many points, opportunities where I share more details in pockets. But long story short, again, I keep saying long story short, so much to share. He said, I'm safeguarded. He said, this is an assignment. He said, you are on mission. So I'm going to need you to act like it. You are not sick. You do not have cancer. You have an assignment. Walk it out. And one thing about a socialite production in my bio, the way I describe myself is, I am life, all caps. I am life, and I choose to live it abundantly. I don't care what the season is. So while everyone was complaining, and oh yeah, I forgot to add, It was a pandemic. While people were complaining about having to wear a mask or can't go this place or that place, there was some of us going through some real life stuff. Like, I wish all I had to deal with was a mask. But what's interesting is, even with the pandemic, even with the discomfort of the season, even with the thoughts that I had to get a hold of and build my mindset of, I had joy. Legit joy. I had peace. Legit peace. I was content. I was walking in purpose. So a lot of times people think success is getting married, having kids, having the house on the hill, having all this money, being able to do whatever you want to do whenever. That's great. But to me, that's the splatter. The target is peace, it's joy, it's contentment, and it's focused to walk in purpose. It's your relationship with God. Everything else, when I say the splatter, when you go like paintball shooting, you have a target, but when you shoot the target, the paint splatters in other areas. And so my target isn't to have all those things. My target is to fulfill purpose. I'm blessed with all of those things because I fulfill purpose. But that's a whole nother conversation. So I'm continuing to walk out purpose while trying to battle this new mindset that I have to stay in to make sure that Matthew 19:26 is alive and strong within me. And again, just a reminder that says, humanly speaking, it's impossible, but with God, all things are possible. Janet, do you believe? Right? So walk throughout the season, walk out all the assignments and things that I had to do. And here comes January 13th. So that's when I had my first procedure. I'm excited, I'm hyped, which is weird because Janet in her mind, the old Janet I'll say, is I'll be worried, I'll be nervous. But it was as if like, I'm getting ready to go on the fight and I already know that I won. I already know that I have the skills and tools to beat this. I already knew that it was done before it even started, right? So my sister took me to Atrium Health, one-day procedure, wherever. I don't even remember all the details, but I got the distraction removed. And what's interesting is throughout this whole process of going to my appointments and speaking to people, God kept reminding me that you're a light. Social Light production starts now before you even formulate the business, because the Social Light production is not a business. It's a calling, it's a ministry, it's who you are, it's what your mother spoke over you years ago. It's who you are. So don't wait until you sign the dotted line. Start intentionally walking. He kept reminding me, you're on assignment. This is not about your health. He kept reminding me. So while you're going to your doctor's appointments, while you think this is about you and, you know, for them to meet all your needs, there's specific conversations, there's specific prayers, there's specific things that I want you to do through this process, right? So January 13th was the surgery. The scariest thing of it all, for me, it was stages in this thing, I'm being real, was knowing that I had to do chemo on March the 5th. And all I could think about in my head was everybody else that did chemo, everything that happened to everybody else, how people got sick, how people lost weight, how people couldn't eat, how this, that. God specifically told me, why are you thinking about things that I haven't called for you to go through? Did you read the full instructions, the task of the assignment? Because I didn't give it to you, and I never told you that you were going to go through that. The problem with believers, we say we trust God, but we trust the distractions more than we trust his power. Right? And so I was preparing for chemo. I was going to buy a bucket because I said, okay, if I get sick and throw up in the bed, I don't want to, you know, but he clearly in my ear said, put it back. That's what I heard. It kind of seemed like I heard my mama, put it back. So I'm like, well, what? Put it back. Little girl. Put it back. Put it back. Long story short, not one piece of vomit came out of my mouth. And God already know I'm like real, ugh. But even though I walked in faith knowing that I was safeguarded, even with that, I had to still walk in faith and expect it just in case it was going to come so I wouldn't be knocked down, right? But I believe more in what he said than what I was expecting. I didn't get sick. I didn't, you know, lose a lot of weight. I didn't get breakouts. I didn't have to take the nausea medicine and all these extra other medications that they gave me. But that fatigue is real. What's a blessing is I was still able to work out, but it was at an abbreviated rate, right? But I still had the strength to work out. But the fatigue is real. But even in the fatigue, there were times that he said, invite my spirit, my presence in. I can fill you up, believe it or not. And he did on so many occasions, just by me opening my mouth. I have to be dramatic with saying this because it's mind-blowing. Just by me opening my mouth and inviting him in and being intentional. So when you're talking about having joy and peace, people think you're in the now. Oh, she needs to go to counseling because she's not dealing. People can think what they want to think, because at the end of the day, he didn't tell him, he didn't tell these people what he told me. And I can't be worried about who believes me or not, right? We just have to believe him. And that's what I did, and I am so proud of myself. The day before chemo, I had a photo shoot with Ray Images. My girl, my energy was on a whole nother level. Even to this day, I'm wondering, Janet. And there was a whole battle just to get to the photo shoot. And that's a whole nother story. But that was a distraction. But something, I encountered something on the way there. And I think that's what set me off even more. Like, let's go. My makeup was just beautiful. I got everything right. I had a little struggle with my left eyelash. Got that right. I was good. I had my mom's scarf on the passenger side of the seat. And as I was driving myself there, it's like I got quiet. I didn't hear her voice, but I heard her voice. In her sweet Liberian accent, she was like, Johnny, I am so proud of you. But I didn't even allow the whole statement to get out. All I heard was, Johnny, I am so... I said, nope, 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 nope. I mean, I had to swallow because I could just feel the waterfalls coming. I said, no. I said, Mama, I said, absolutely not. Not right now. Nope. I had to put the fan on, cool myself, because it was about to be the ugliest cry, and I was going to have to go home and start back over, right? So after I calmed down, I was like, okay, you know what, God? If my mom has something to tell me, then I just need to sit and allow her to tell me, right? So I was quiet, and I said, okay, I'm going to sit down. Go ahead, Mama. What were you saying? Even though I already knew what she was saying, but go ahead. Let me hear you. I'm sorry, you guys. It's a little hot out here, so I'm wiping sweat. But let me go ahead and hear what you have to say. But no, my mom, she's like, nah, never mind. Nope, just going to the shoot. But that did something to me. My theme song, not only for the shoot, but for this year, is I Got It by Pastor Mike Jr. Pull that song up. Pull that song up and let me know if it doesn't hype you up. That's the song I played during the shoot, and that's the energy I had. Jehovah Jireh, you are my provider, and you're my rider. You've been with me through the fire. My sister's over here dancing. No worries, because you got me. Giving up, not likely. No, the devil can't stop me, because I'm walking in the victory. I stay winning, because God is with me. Can't nobody do me like you, Jesus. Can't nobody. The sun coming out, I'm sweating, and it's all good. I ain't stopping and taking this. Oh, can't nobody. He is my source first. Everybody else are resources. Everybody else. That includes doctors, that includes therapists, that includes whatever else that you run to first. I'm not saying those things aren't important. I'm not saying that he don't work through those things. But whenever we run to those things first, we're discrediting his power. My mom was my source. I would have never said that out of my mouth, but she was my source. I ran to her as if like I didn't have full access. But you know, there's levels, there's stages. God gives us grace in each season and show us how to move, right? And how to believe. So, you know, through it all. Back to the photo shoot. Sorry, I got carried away. I had the photo shoot. There was a lot of distractions leading up to that photo shoot because that photo shoot was a part of the purpose of Social Light. All those pictures that I took, it was for a social light. it was for this purpose that is about to go forth that's bigger than I can even imagine. So I was hyped on a whole nother level. I had energy on a whole nother level. You would have thought that, you know, I won $1 million and I was picking it up later that afternoon. That's how I was. And it was just an awesome experience. When I went home, I was reminded, tomorrow's the big day. It's the big assignment. This big second part of the assignment. You got this. I was scared. I was nervous. But I had the let's go spirit. So I had 1 round of 4 rounds of chemo treatments. They were scheduled 3 weeks at a time. So once every 3 weeks. Went through that. After that, waited a couple of weeks. Then had radiation, which was 30 treatments every day. Now, during the surgery and the treatments, I don't say the treatments, I still worked. And I told, and actually too, I told my team, right? I wasn't going to, but God said, this is a testimony in the making. Tell them. So I told my team, and it was a blessing, and I had their support. But after the chemo, I was like, you know what, God, I'm tired. I need a break. I need a break. I know your power is real, but I need a break. And so throughout the radiation treatment, I took time, took a leave of absence, or I guess short-term disability. And what I thought was a break, where I was just going to sleep all day, and which I did. I got a lot of rest. It was a blessing through it, but it was also time to work. I was like, so I took a break from my job to rest, not to work. What you doing now, God? What? You know what I mean? Like, what? And he said, don't start getting overwhelmed, because that means you're relying on your power and not mine. To be successful in this assignment, you have to be in my power. Let's go. All right, I'm here for it. And so the work was launching a socialite production. So all of July, I did LIB Perspectives storytelling series and had a lot of conversations. But what kind of annoyed me about this, and this was a period where I had, like, I was in my feelings, not really, you know, focus and realize what God is doing. So it was like, let's go, okay, let's go. And so I planned all those conversations, did Facebook Lives, but I was a little frustrated and confused. Because I said, you want me to launch a socialite production while I'm going through treatment? Are you? Like, what are you doing, God? Now, seriously, what are you doing? My eyebrows dusty. I barely had any eyebrows left. My lashes was very thin. You know, I was bald. Like, bald. Right? I had a wig, right? But I don't wear wigs. I've never worn wigs. They're hot. They don't look natural. I was uncomfortable. God said, you will do it. And you will be just fine. They won't know unless you tell them. And what the blessing is, this is the season of wigs, right? Everybody wearing wigs. So nobody thought that I was wearing wig necessarily because something was wrong with my hair. But that was just a complex I had. And God had to tell me to get over myself. Because it's not about you. So even if I tell you to come on this camera bald, you will do it. If I told you, praise God. He didn't tell me that. But even as I record this, because my hair is growing back now, thankfully I have a cute, naturally curly afro. Looks like I got Indian in my family. I can't wait to rock it. Can't wait for y'all to see it. But this is a wig on my head, and this is a hat. I've been wearing hats because, again, I just don't like wigs. And the good thing is hats are in season. So I'm saying all that for a reason, because everything that I've gone through, that I've been going through, has been the ideal time. I'm using quotation marks when I say ideal time, because obviously there's no ideal time to go through this, right? But this is the season where people are wearing hats, and hats are stylish, whether it's casual or dressy. You know, people are wearing wigs, people are wearing lashes, people are doing all kinds of things. So God said, you good, you good. You're uncomfortable, but you're good. And your problem, and people's problem, is that we want to be comfortable in assignments, and that's not how life works. We want to be able to pray away things and jump over things without going through, but that's not how muscle is built. And so through this season, through this time, God has done so much, and there's so much more that I have to share, but that will be saved for other conversations. And you know, there will be conversations as well with those individuals who are a part of this journey and process, even the doctors. Just stay tuned. But there is so much to share, and I'm glad, and I feel a little free. I feel free because it's like I've shared a part of my life that he has had me keep private. I'm not even gonna say a secret, because my thing is, if someone find out, they find out. I don't care, but I don't have to entertain it or engage it in conversation unless he tells me to, right? But it feels just like me breathing outside this fresh air. That's how I feel getting this out. Right across from the hospital with that sign that thinks it's gonna intimidate me. No more. I don't care what it is in this life. If I am walking in obedience, and if I'm following God, there is nothing on my journey that I can't handle. I'm not sitting here trying to act all big and bad, but this is the truth. And that has been my energy through the pandemic and through this assignment that I have walked through. So this is a Socialite production. It's so much more to come. It's so much more to share. There is so much more that God has planned to do through this platform. Just stay tuned. Like I said, this is the YouTube page. If you like what you see, subscribe, like, follow us on social media. The handle is a Socialite production. There's just so much to come, and I do not want you guys to miss out. And just as I'm storytelling and sharing, however God leads you to do the same. There is so much power in your story. Thank you guys for joining me. Thank you guys for rocking with me. Thank you guys for praying with me. Thank you guys for supporting me. I am Janet Kape, and I am life, and I choose to live it abundantly. This is a Socialite production. We are connecting the world through faith, culture, and entertainment.